Welcome, everybody, to another retro review with myself, Tyler Babb. And I'm joined by Matt.
Matt.
What's going on, Matt?
Living the dream, man.
We are back again with Small Soldiers from 1998. Have you noticed a pattern?
It's getting newer?
It is getting newer. Our reviews are getting newer, but we just stuck in this like childhood nostalgia pretty much. But we are going to branch out next month.
I'm excited for next month.
Yes. If you guys are new here, every month we review a movie from the past. Exactly.
Yeah, so, before the future.
Before the future.
And the present.
And the present. It's the past. And we checked out Small Soldiers. We were joined by our friend Paul. And this was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, after seeing the Turtles, I wasn't sure.
Exactly.
But this was a very enjoyable movie.
We both enjoyed this. You will hear our thoughts right after this.
You are the best of the best!
Heartland Play Systems.
I'm having trouble with the Commando Elite. It's like they're alive.
Let's roll some armor. We got us a war to win.
A few.
No mercy!
Incoming!
Small soldiers.
Command post to Brick Bazooka, report.
All right, dude. So we said that we enjoyed it, but what was your initial thoughts when you watched it?
So I hadn't seen this movie in a long time, and I was kind of nervous because I remember liking it as a kid a lot. Like I watched this. This is a very kind of under the radar film. There's not a lot of friends, and it's not well known. I don't think, and a lot of people our age maybe haven't even seen it.
I feel like it was under the radar when it came out.
Yeah, but for me, it's like, I had all the toys pretty much, and it was kind of a big part of my childhood. And so I was hoping that it was going to hold up, but I was a little nervous because I was like, is this going to suck? Like, is this going to be another... If you guys didn't watch our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles review, that was a real letdown in terms of story. I was like, I thought there was a lot more going on here. But luckily, this exceeded expectations.
Yeah.
Not as good as The Sandlot, if you should check out our Sandlot review, because that was the first one we did.
Yeah.
Not as good as The Sandlot, but I think it's better than Turtles.
Yeah.
For sure. What about you?
No, if we're going to sort of shuffle around what we've seen so far, Sandlot, Small Soldiers, Turtles is probably the way I'd rank them.
Yeah.
I had the same... I hadn't seen it since, single-digit years. Whenever I was, 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there, whatever it was. I haven't seen it much. Paul joined us because he loved it as a kid, as far as I know. I think so, anyways. But I remember watching it at his house, and I think I only had the exposure to this film once, maybe twice. Again, sort of under the radar. Mm-hmm. So in my mind, I was like, this is probably gonna be not so good. It's because it's just no one talks about it. But it was, in terms of what I expected, it blew it out of the water.
Yeah, it really. I think it impressed all of us. We were sitting there all like, it's a fun concept, right? Mm-hmm. It's pretty much adult Toy Story is basically kind of what it is. It gets dark. It gets pretty intense and pretty dark.
Yeah. I think and you're big on pacing and stuff, and I feel like it hooks you pretty quickly in terms of this is a fun movie. Mm-hmm. Kind of right away, at least I felt like I'd never felt a lull or any sense of boredom while watching it.
Yeah,
so.
No, I agree. I thought that I was a little concerned in the beginning because we had the boardroom stuff and I was like, how long? I couldn't remember how long that stuff went on. I was like, how long is it until we actually get the toys and the toys come to life? But yeah, that stuff was a couple scenes maybe, and then boom, we were into it. And I was like, all right, cool. I was into it. Obviously, we have Tommy Lee Jones as Major Chip Hazard, the villain of the movie. Mm-hmm. I thought that's great voice casting, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. I don't know who did Archer, but I'll put him up on the screen. I forget that guy's name. But what did you think of the toy designs themselves? Because if you guys don't know, Matt from Off Card Collectors, and he has his own YouTube channel. Link is in the description. And I'll put it on the screen. But you collect toys. You and James, that's what you guys kind of do for a hobby.
Yeah.
So what did you think of these toy designs in this movie?
I think the toys are cool. I while we were watching it, I wanted to purchase them, but these toys go for some good money.
Yeah, so I should have kept my toys in the box back then.
Loose would probably you'd probably have been happy with loose, but no, I thought it was really fun. I thought the dynamic between the the soldiers and the Gorgonites. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
The Commando Elite and the Gorgonites.
Commando Elite and Gorgonites. Yeah. I don't know. I thought they were fun. They're toys that I would have wanted as a kid.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and it surprises me too. I mean, Mom, if you're watching this, we can discuss about this later. I'm surprised I watched this as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
This came out in '98. Pretty sure that I was watching it around that time.
Yeah.
I mean, had the toys around that time.
Yeah.
Before the year 2000, I had these toys for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So I was a pretty young kid watching this stuff. But I don't know, if, in the marketing, I wonder too, because it's obviously marketed towards kids. And it is a kids movie. But I think maybe parents just thought, oh, it's just toys, so here you go.
I think there was a level of expectation 20 years ago too, of what you're allowed to get by with.
Right.
You know, like what is appropriate versus what isn't appropriate is shifted, right? Mm-hmm. I've talked a lot about thinking in terms of could these movies be remade in today's climate without vastly changing, and I think this movie still could. I just think there's a lot more obstacles you're gonna have to jump around.
Yeah, no, I mean,
like attacking actual humans would probably not show up in the remake.
I don't know. Well, you know, the closest thing to this is probably that Megan movie that came out.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Because there was a doll that came to life and like.
But that's designed.
The humans.
Is that designed to be? That's not designed for kids, right?
I don't know if it was. I didn't see the movie.
I didn't mean either.
I'm just going with the trailers. But
it looked creepy, so I assumed it was a scary movie.
It is, yeah. But that's the closest thing I can think of that's kind of close to this concept. I thought, you mentioned the pacing. I thought the pacing was really good. The story was simple, but it was kind of like heartwarming. You know, like the Gorgonites are these like lovable kind of band of misfit idiots. And like, you know, you're kind of like, oh man, like you feel bad for them because the Commando Elite are just dicks to them. Like,
yeah.
Just like we're programmed to rip you apart and like destroy you. It's like, oh, these poor Gorgonites.
I think one of the things I liked is the character. It was oh man, what's the actor's name? Some comedian. I can't remember his name now. But the guy that like he developed these toys, right? Like that was his thought, his brainchild.
Oh yeah.
Originally wanted Gorgonites to be good guys, like misunderstood. So it was nice to actually see them be what he wanted them to be. And then of course is it Dennis Leary's character?
Dennis
was like, no, that's dumb. We need our soldiers to be the heroes. And so,
right, yeah.
Or maybe I don't think. Actually, the soldiers was the other friend, right? His idea, wasn't it?
Yes.
And so like, oh no, and then we're like, we'll just use them both. We'll make your ugly guys the bad guys. And so, but then it's nice to see it show up, not in that sense. Like, the Gorgonites are actually the good guys. They're the sweethearts, the lovable losers. You know.
Yeah.
So I kind of liked seeing that play out.
They were. That was nice. That was kind of. And I think as a kid, it was interesting. As a kid, I found myself loving both of them. Mm-hmm. I was like, because I thought, I obviously thought that the Commando Elite were super cool.
Well, they do all the badassery.
Yeah, they do all the cool stuff, but they're obviously the villain.
Mm-hmm.
And are they the villain? Not really. They're toys, right? The villain is the one developer who stole the chip.
Yeah. Well, he didn't steal the chip because they're just like, here's we do things for the U.S. Army. Here's a badge that gets you anything you want as toy developers. So like it's really whoever gave him, the girl that gave them clearance, maybe, or even the person that's told her to give them clearance. They're really the bad guys.
Right. Maybe it's interesting. Maybe there's a whole plot that got cut out where like she realistically maybe wanted to sabotage the company or. Yeah, she just, what was it, Globotech?
Globotech.
Globotech. Oh yeah, and we were wondering if.
No relation to Globo Gym as far as we know.
Yeah, we were trying to see if there was a relation.
Although if they're in the same world, it sounds like Globotech runs everything, so they might be.
It might be.
They covered up the PR at the end, I think.
So, Kirsten Dunst was in this movie.
Yes.
The other kid, the kid Alan, I don't know who that was. So, Kirsten Dunst is the only kind of, in terms of the kids, the only name that I knew.
Yeah.
Way before Spider-Man.
And then the Kirsten Dunst's little brother I recognized from Phantom of the Megaplex, Disney Channel movie.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know his name, but I did recognize him.
We recognize you. If you're out there and if you somehow watch this, hi.
Hello.
I don't know if you'll ever see this.
That's all right.
Who knows? if Phantom of the Megaplex kid is out there scouring the internet for...
Yeah, otherwise,
But,
yeah, I think Kirsten Dunst and Dennis Leary are the biggest names I know.
yeah, and then the dad. He was in Transformers, and then he was in a bunch of other stuff too that I can't remember. I did not look up any of these names except for Kirsten Dunst, but yeah.
Oops.
No, this story was surprisingly simple, which is good.
But simple in a good way. Not
Yeah,
too simple.
Yeah, no, I mean, simple stories are good when you have characters to back them up. When your characters are defined and when their wants are very clear, which obviously Major Chip Hazard's wants are very clear.
Once the Gorgonite's gone.
Right, he wants the Gorgonite.
Simple as that.
Simple. And the Gorgonites just want to go home to Gorgon. And I don't know, it was a cool concept.
Yeah.
And on a fun spin. Was it perfect?
It was dang good though.
It was pretty good. What did you think of? I thought, it was something that for those of you that don't know, I'm writing my own film. And something that you should try to do in your film is escalate the tension and the obstacles that your heroes have to face. And I thought this movie did a perfectly good job of the tension would escalate and everything that happened got greater and greater stakes. It just evolved and evolved and evolved to the very end where they're literally shooting fireballs into the window. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it gets wild what these guys are doing.
That's a whole nother conversation. We'll talk about just the creativity of the team that was on to write, design, and bring to life. But
exactly. But so I just thought that was great too because they didn't, and that's something different, right? That I think if this movie was made today, it would just be balls to the wall, that type of intense, action and just chaos from the get-go. But this movie had the restraint to be in the first attack, we didn't see what happened to the Gorgonites, right? We only saw the aftermath.
Right.
We saw a little bit of it, but then they cut away, and then we see the aftermath and the Toy Stories, all destroyed. And I thought that was great because it leaves it up to the imagination of what did these toys do?
What are they capable of?
Yeah, what are they capable of? And then, but we find it's a setup and it's a payoff. So they set something up. It's an expectation from the audience. We're wondering what happened to these guys. Where did they go? What are the Commando Elites capable of? And then we pay that off because we see it at the end of the movie. Brilliant writing, brilliant filmmaking. Hats off to you guys.
Yeah, I think that ties in again with pacing and everything was just done right. The length of the movie was perfect. That constant buildup of making this villain worse and worse was perfect.
Yeah.
I think, I don't have a lot of complaints. I know you mentioned about talking about the things we didn't like. I'm not sure that I have a lot of complaints about this particular film.
Right. I am with you.
Not to say that it's a perfect film, just to say that, for what it targeted, which was, young adults or young teens, I think it did a really good job doing what it's supposed to. My, preteen, 12-year-old, 13-year-old boy in me would be like, oh, this is amazing with all, the fun fight scenes. And, for being 98, the visual effects were pretty outstanding.
I mean, yeah, and Stan Winston and his team did the animatronics and the puppets and everything. And if you go and watch the behind the scenes, there's a behind the scenes on the Blu-ray, but I'm sure you can find it on YouTube. It's pretty cool. I suggest that you guys go check that out because, I mean, the amount of work that went into making these animatronic puppets and combined with CG sequences, I mean, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
It's Toy Story in the real world to the next level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes me glad that my toys don't come to life. Although I do collect mostly good guys, so I'll probably be okay, but I do have all those Universal monsters that would attack me.
Yeah, the Universal. Wouldn't that be an interesting sight to see? The Universal monsters against the DC heroes.
Yeah, right.
That'd be very cool. Another thing that I want to point out is the soundtrack. The songs that they use.
Yeah.
It was another blast from the past because it's just like songs I hadn't heard in a while and that were like from
that
the
era
90s and from that era, and I was like, oh, and again, perfectly fit the tone, so hats off.
That's something I always like, that always baffles me in creation of visual effects or visual art when they include music. And like, there's so many songs out in the world, and there was probably another half a dozen songs that would have fit and made us just as happy.
Yeah.
But like, just somebody to be like, this is the song we're using, like, that's just amazing to me, because I would just be stuck trying to pick music forever.
Right.
Like, oh, this one's not quite it.
Yeah, music is hard in making music for music's sake, but then making music for a film is super hard. Because you have millions of choices and you can do all sorts of stuff. You do all sorts of stuff. You got John Williams who will make a Harry Potter theme, and it's just like, that is magic in my opinion, because it's like, where'd that come from? He makes the theme for Indiana Jones. He makes the themes for Star Wars. It's like,
yeah, original themes like that too.
Like, he's just able to pull that out. Same thing with the Disney animated films. Some of those songs are so. I was like, where does that come from?
I wish I could.
I like to think that I'm sort of creative, but I couldn't write a song like that.
No, I've when I was younger, I've written a couple songs and poems and things of that nature. Yeah. But like, I don't know if you can be like, okay, all right, picture this, okay? We got this animal and this human sidekick character, and they're thinking Disney or something, and they're going through this forest, and we need a song for that. Go. And it's just like, oh, okay. And got to make the song make sense, because then the lyrics, like when you're talking about original music, like, it's got to make sense to the characters, right? Maybe it's a little bit easier when you're using just Spice Girls, or was it? I think it was Spice Girls, and was one of the songs.
Spice Girls, and there were a couple other songs in there too.
That you're just like, oh, put some fun upbeat stuff. Maybe it's easier, maybe it's hard. I don't know, but to anybody that deals with music in movies, like, my hat's off to you. I don't know. It's amazing to me.
So let's get into what we didn't like about this movie. If there's anything, I know that there's one thing that comes to my mind, and it's not necessarily something that I didn't like, but something that just threw me off.
Okay.
Kirsten Dunst's boyfriend in this movie.
Not entirely needed.
Not entirely needed at all. No, because they set him up, but they didn't really pay that off much. Like, he didn't come. But also, too, the age, they're supposed to be like 15. They can't drive yet because they're on bicycles and stuff. So she was 15 when she made the film. Mm-hmm. But yeah, her boyfriend's got a motorcycle.
I thought her boyfriend was supposed to be a little older than she was, and
probably.
Then our protagonist was a little younger than she was, so she was in the middle.
Okay.
And it was like, I guess if I was thinking like high school, she was like sophomore, not licensed yet, and he was like a junior or senior, and then our guy was maybe like a freshman or something.
Yeah. All right, you explained it. I just thought it was very strange that a 15-year-old was hopping on a motorcycle.
Well, they wanted to show that he's like this ultimate bad boy type.
And that was the thing you did.
But then our protagonist was described as sort of being a bad boy because he was kicked out of 1,000 schools, right?
That's another thing that.
And they didn't quite. I don't remember them. They talked about it a little bit, but I don't feel like I got the satisfaction of like, oh, this, like they talked about him getting removed from 2 schools, I think it was.
Yeah.
And his parents were clearly like upset with him, and clearly there was this power struggle between him and his parents of like, I can do things now. You're not giving me the chance. No, you're still that stupid little kid.
Yeah.
And then I didn't feel like that payout really ended well. Like we didn't really get told like why he was kicked out of schools.
No.
Really, it was just kind of like, yeah, he was just gone.
Not only that, but it didn't even come back in like. It sort of did because he's like, they tried to tie it in with the father, right? And it's kind of like, oh, like I can do this. And by me climbing up this pole and getting, risking my life, I'm somehow, mending me, the problems of the past that they've had, the father and the son. I was like, that doesn't really make any sense. I was like, that's a stretch. I was like, I don't really understand that. It would have been nice if he would have kind of came back and attacked the toys with some of his rebellious, antics that he used at the school, or if he was like, oh, I did this in my school, let me bring that back to defeat the toys. But there was none of that really that went down.
Yeah, because that could be, you drop that in that conversation with Kirsten Dunst's character, like, I got kicked out because I made a catapult or something, right? And then like later on, he uses that catapult. Now, what made him a villain in that school has made him a hero in the fight today, kind of a thing. Yeah, I get what you're saying. That'd have been
So,
cool.
Yeah, that just kind of went nowhere, and I never really bought it because he was kind of a pretty shy dude, and he's like,
Yeah, they said he was like sort of this, he was clearly a bad kid in school, but then was perceived as like a good kid the whole time, which again doesn't make sense with a boyfriend because like Kirsten Dunst likes a bad kid. Well, then why would she like him? He's already a bad kid. Like he's already got that reputation about him. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't
know. A little weak sauce here. Those are really kind of seriously. Those are my only complaints about the movie.
So
those little things.
For me, like the more I've thought about, because we watched this last week, and we usually take anywhere from 3 to 7 days to record something, but so it's been close to was it last Monday? So I think it's been a week since we've watched it, so I've had a lot of time to think, and I just wish somehow like how he got the toys in his store was done a little bit better.
Oh, okay.
Like, I know that you're going to be all friends with the delivery driver, but, like, no delivery driver is going to just, like, drop the boxes for you.
He didn't just drop the boxes. He handed them.
Well, yeah, but you know what I mean? Guys, these fell off my truck, though. Like, I don't know if... I mean, I guess it's the easiest way to reason it away, but could have just been something. Like, that's when you could have been like, oh, this kid that we're saying got kicked out of schools is a bad kid because he went and stole 2 boxes out of the truck.
That would have been cool.
Simpler, boom.
Not cool. It's not cool to steal shit.
Yeah.
I should believe myself.
Put down the candy bar.
Back to Small Soldiers.
What was your? Did we talk about your thoughts on the animatronics and the CGI and the visual effects? Because that's the area within film that you really enjoy is visual effects.
Yes, that's always something that I've gravitated towards, and I think early on it was Toy Story is one of my favorite movies of all time, my first favorite movie of all time, and so animation, VFX has always been a huge part of why I love movies, and I was impressed by this. I mean, but again, it goes with the limitations of the technology. This is a perfect example of working within the limitations of the early 90s because you could render plastic pretty well. Plastic, metal, nothing like organic.
Yeah.
Organic stuff like skin and fur and that stuff was really hard to do. But plastic material, super easy for the computer to do.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's why these VFX look so good, is because and this was 98. Jurassic Park came out in 92. So, I mean, that's a lot of years there to really hone in the craft. I mean, they've been spending a good amount of years kind of perfecting this method of filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, and it was right before Harry Potter had kind of started, right? Harry Potter pushed it. Lord of the Rings wasn't quite out yet, but they were filming those movies at this time. And so we were just about to go into the millennia and really start to push the visual effects to a whole new level.
Star Wars Phantom Menace is
Star
another one
Wars
around that
Phantom
time.
Menace was filming
That
around
pushed a
that
lot of
time.
that stuff.
And I'm positive that, because ILM worked on this, I think. ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, is this George Lucas's company who made Star Wars. So I'm sure, and this was in 98, so they were probably filming it in 97. 97 is when they started to do pre-production on The Phantom Menace. So I'm sure there was a lot of cross conversations and, hey, what are you developing? Hey, what can we use for our Small Soldiers movie? Back and forth, back and forth. So it's not. This movie isn't talked about enough. I don't think.
Oh,
What
it's
do you think?
way underrated, right? If this movie is like the LeBron James of underrated.
Sure.
No, but is
LeBron James underrated?
no, but what I'm saying is this movie is as underrated. Let me try that again. This movie is as underrated as LeBron James is overrated. No, I don't know. I don't know how to get the point across. It's very underrated. It was.
Nobody talks about this movie.
It was a phenomenal movie. Is it a little bit violent? Is it more like, I'd say, like teenagers? It should be PG-13, but I think it was just, it is PG-13. Okay, should at the very least be PG-13.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But I was nowhere near 13 when I watched this movie.
No,
I was nowhere near 10 when I watched this movie.
Yeah, I lived with my mom, and I was actually just telling this to my wife. Like, my mom never didn't my mom let us get the movies that were a little bit older than we were, or like CDs, like
Same, yeah.
Eminem, for example, swore a lot, but like she just knew that she raised us to know that we can't use that language in inappropriate places, right? Like, I can't take this language or this violence to school. I can't do that, So my mom always let me slide with that stuff.
Right. Well, and I was the exact same way. I grew up kind of I grew up kind of. There's no kind of. I grew up as an only child. I don't know why I was going to say kind of.
Oh, there you say you kind of grew up, because I was like, that part's true. You've kind of grown up.
Yeah, kind
still
of.
Kid at heart, like
still
me.
A kid at heart, kind of.
But definitely grew up. Yeah, only child.
Same way where I was able to experience things that were older than my current age. Same thing with music. I mean, had 50 Cent CD, had Eminem CDs, so on, whatever. Then, but I'm sure you thought the same thing, where it's like, you looked at it as a privilege. I realized, I was like, oh, my mom trusts me enough. But if I break that trust, then I can't experience these things anymore.
Yeah, and I don't know
how I looked at it.
I don't know if I've ever saw that, at that age. Retrospectively, that's certainly how my brain works. Like, oh, my mom definitely trusted us, but we also never wanted to break that trust.
Right.
I didn't maybe think about it subconsciously or consciously all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, subconsciously, that's probably exactly what I was like.
Yeah.
I'm not going to push the boundaries, so then I can keep having these privileges of what older kids get to enjoy or whatever, or adults get to enjoy.
Yeah.
But let's talk. Can we talk a little bit about some of the traps and stuff?
Yeah.
Because I love the way that this film was extremely creative, and the way the film just used a bunch of household items. They must have told everybody that's working on this project, just go home and look through all your drawers and figure out what we could use. Hold it up to a toy and just see what's gonna be feasible. Because they used they shot somebody in the leg 6 times with corn cob holders. Okay, going back to your whole escalation thing, right? The first tactic was to lower the Gorgonite into the garbage disposal, which is it's pretty brutal, but it's not super outrageous. And then we work our way up to flaming tennis balls.
Yeah.
And vehicles that they were they showed. Yeah, helicopter vehicle, all this stuff. And then they have the toys they were building it, right? Wasn't there a montage sort of where the toys were building these high powered vehicles and stuff?
Yeah,
it was crazy.
It was a lot. It was pretty creative. But yeah, and I'm sure it was just kind of the director and the producers were whatever you can think of, bring it into the office tomorrow, and we'll see if we can make it work.
The Barbie scene was hilarious. Yeah, everything, man. This movie was enjoyable.
Christina Ricci was the voice of the main Barbie that was sir, sir, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
didn't they make I think they made like 2 or 3 Frankenstein references, which I enjoyed as a fan of Frankenstein.
Yes.
This movie had everything. What didn't this movie have?
And if we want to connect it to our other things, there were, like you said, there were traps and stuff like that, which can connect it to Sandlot.
And Dennis Leary, because he was in it.
Dennis Leary. We just keep connecting these movies. I wonder.
I don't know if our next film's gonna be able to connect. I don't want to.
We're going way back for our next one, which is cool. It's something very different. So.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Dracula.
Yeah, the goal is to watch Dracula 1931.
1931 Dracula. I feel like we should tell you guys what we're going to watch next so that you can you can either get excited or if you want to watch it yourself too.
Hit that subscribe button and follow us.
Hit the subscribe button and you can follow. But I think it'd be nice to tell the audience what we're going to watch so if they want to watch it too.
Sure. Yeah. 1931 Dracula. If my brief history is correct, it's like it's like what set off the golden age of like the horror genre.
Yeah.
So that's exciting.
It's going to be a fun time. It's going to be interesting and very, very different.
All right, Ty, I think it's time for final thoughts. What are you thinking?
My final thoughts on Small Soldiers is I thought that this was a terrific movie with a lot of nostalgic music and a great pace. Not too long, right? A really fun watch with a great pace, great characters, some iconic, underrated childhood characters, a lot of childhood memories, and just overall fun. I suggest if you have never seen this, you got to check it out. You just have to check this out. I think it's an underrated gem of the 90s that, like I said, nobody talks about this movie, and it's a shame. So if we can spread awareness, I'm down because I recommend it. Go check it out. Take your family, not to a theater, not to
yeah, Ty, that's not in theaters anymore.
Don't take your family anywhere except your home. Just
take them to the living room in front of the TV is what Tyler's trying to say.
Sit everybody down. But caution. I mean, it can get very. If your kids if they don't like violence, you're right. I mean, toys do get ripped apart. Toys get destroyed in this movie. So
human hands get stabbed.
That is true. There's blood in this movie. It's crazy. But it's a fun time, and it's Toy Story for adults. And if you've never seen it, check it out. Matt, final thoughts on Small Soldiers.
Small Soldiers, as you mentioned, underrated gem, by far one of the top most underrated films of our childhood, I think. Diamond in the Rough for sure. Check it out. Great animation, great story, great pacing, like perfect, time. Everything about this movie is dang near perfect, other than the few minor bits and pieces we discussed with like the boyfriend or how exactly he got the toys in his possession. But for the most part, this is a dang good film for adults, young adults. Again, anything lower than 13. Discretion's advised. Viewer, what is it? Viewer. Oh man, words are hard. Viewer discretion is advised. But this is a super fun film. Super fun.
Thank you guys so much for joining us for yet another retro review here on the channel. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and comment if you've seen this movie and if it is one of your favorite childhood films and what your favorite parts are. Also, subscribe to Matt's YouTube channel. Link is in the description and the name is popping up right now. Go check it out. What do you do on your YouTube channel? Give us a little bit about it.
On my personal YouTube channel, Hop on Pop Culture, I have done comic book reviews. I've done unboxings of toys and stuff. Got a little stale, I'll admit. I need to get back to it, but I'm just trying to find fun ways to just do different things and enjoy my channel. Otherwise, check out Off Card Collectors on YouTube, where me and my buddy James, we talk all things toys and collectibles.
It's a fun time over there. They need to publish another episode so that I can listen to it because I enjoyed them talking about their festivities and the toys that they find. So if you're interested, toys, you know what I'm saying? It works with the review. Toys. It matches up. And, we're continuing over here. We're writing the movie. We're making some headway. We're trudging through the mud there. And it's
I know he says
coming along
we.
pretty well.
He says we. It's Tyler's film, and he's doing the work, and he's awesome about it. So
yes, but I'm bouncing ideas off of people, so it's not like
yes,
that's what I mean by we. So if people are gonna be like, "Why is he saying we?" and then you say it's just me, to clarify,
that's fair.
I am bouncing ideas off of other people.
I just didn't want you to them to mistakenly think that I'm getting credit for this film that I don't really.
That's true.
I'm just an ear to listen.
He's an ear, right? I've tossed him some ideas, and he's given me feedback. But we are coming. We're moving right along. Most of the first act is fleshed out, or at least planned out, and we'll move forward. We know a couple of things here and there, but I'm very excited to develop that pretty much for the rest of the year. And that's what I'm up to.
Awesome.
As well as working, obviously, I cut for a living and do all that stuff. But yeah, thanks guys for checking it out. Next week is going to be Dracula 1931. We're taking it way back, and like I said, we have a multi-region Blu-ray player now, so we can watch movies from anywhere in the world. Recommend and suggest down in the comments, so that way we have ideas for what you might want to see us review. Thanks guys so much, and take care.